The year is 1980. Popular comedian/magician does a normal set who many patrons have come to love. Tommy Cooper had become a really famous magician and really loved in the magic community, and a great comedian. But one time when he was performing an act, something didn't quite go right. As he was just about to move on to another bit, his assistant comes and places a coat onto him. And that's when the unthinkable happens.
Thank you.
Tommy Cooper would collapse onto the ground as he had a heart attack, live on TV. But the laughs from the crowd didn't stop, as they thought it was just part of his bit. Realizing what had happened, the show directors cut quickly to a commercial. Still, you could hear people applauding and clapping in the background. One of the darker moments about this is that after they come back from the commercial, it is almost as if nothing has happened. The crowd is still cheery, and comedians are up doing their sets. But all the while, we know that behind that curtain, he's getting taken away on a stretcher.
Yes, indeed, and welcome back to Live from Her Majesty's. I said early on about the show last week.
I find it pretty bizarre that after having one of your most famous comedians collapse right on stage like that you would just carry on. Or maybe this just is exactly what they should have done. To me, it seems weird, though. And it definitely seems like one of the most dark moments in live TV history. It always amazes me the dedication that people will go to archive things. When something happens on live TV, something that we're not even expecting, somebody probably has that footage. And even though sometimes it's trying to get ripped from the internet, somebody has it somewhere. And today, I would like to explore with you guys some of the darkest moments in TV history, in my opinion. December 15th, 2014, in Sydney, Australia, a man takes 15 hostages inside of a Lindt chocolate store. Eventually, the police do rush in, and they do eliminate the person keeping everybody hostage. Many gunshots happen, and 2 civilians lose their lives. This is not the darkest thing about this. There's a moment you can watch live as news anchors realize that they know who one of the hostages are, and they break down live on air.
One, a mum, a lawyer, probably worked in the same building. That building of Lindt Cafe is full of lawyers.
I'm just finding out.
And that's
Katrina Dawson was the sister of a prominent barrister, Sandy Dawson, who has done some work for Channel 7, who...
A sister of one of our Channel 7 staff.
Sandy Dawson, who I know, and I have friends who know. She was a mother of 3 children. I'm just finding that out this morning.
That's a mother of 3, a lawyer who was the wife of one of our colleagues at 7 Chris's, one of the fatalities, which this is a city with a heavy heart this morning.
She's the younger sister of the lawyer who does a lot of work for Channel 7, who many would know.
One of the hostages who lost their life was a mother of 2, and the news anchor knew who she was. If you have any type of empathy, seeing somebody break down on live TV like that is actually one of the more darker things, in my opinion. You know exactly how that lady is feeling. Obviously, you know how the family of the victims are feeling too. It is well known by now that Japan is filled with crazy game shows. They're obsessed with the wackiest and most weird game shows that you could think of. But with that has came some of the most large accidents we've seen on live TV. On June 14th, a man participates in a sumo Japanese event, getting pushed or jumping off of a styrofoam platform into a pea field filled with mud. He slams his head right on the ground and into the mud. You can hear them all laughing and playing, thinking that it is really funny and that he is just fine. But little do they know, this man is now paralyzed from the neck down, forever. I've always been obsessed with motorcycle riding, and they stress very hard that if you see a motorcycler go down, you don't want to touch their neck or take off their helmet. You don't want to mess with them at all, because any type of head or neck injury can leave you paralyzed. That's the last thing you want to do, is touch the person when they've had an injury like that. And these people are simply just making the injuries worse. Speaking of motorcycles, one of my favorite hobbies is watching the Moto GP, since I'm obsessed with motorcycles. And occasionally you have a crash, and when people crash in Moto GP, it is not the prettiest sight, but at least they all wear professional gear. But in this GP race specifically, Marco Simoncelli would crash. And it's almost like the announcers would foreshadow this by saying that he isn't as skilled around these corners as others.
It's the two straights where Simoncelli does struggle compared to the other hunters and probably compared to the other riders.
And almost just as the announcer says this, Marco Simoncelli would crash into another biker and go limp.
That's Marco Simoncelli's had a horrific crash. That's an awful crash here in the MotoGP race. That is terrible.
Wait to see, ladies and gentlemen, if the red flag will come out.
That has to come out. That's Valentino Rossi sat up. Colin Edwards as well. He's looking at Simoncelli. The red flag is out. It has to go out.
The red flag is out. The race.
I can't even show that one on YouTube, blurred for obvious reasons. Marco Simoncelli did not make it after that crash. And as you can tell from the announcers, it was pretty brutal. That was a huge loss in the MotoGP sphere. It's 1989, in a completely filled stadium for the semi-final FA Cup match in Hillsborough. The fans were all extremely excited to see this game. However, the stadium is completely over capacity. This is noted by the announcers several times, but the game carries on as if nothing is happening. Despite the sheer amount of people in the crowd, and the people getting pushed against the wall on one side of the stadium, the game continues on, until this becomes too big of an issue to ignore, and the refs pull everybody out of the field until the police can get the situation sorted. But the situation is hardly ever sorted, and as people continue to trample on top of each other over and over again, we find out later that 97 people would die in this incident.
Nottingham Forest for Peter Beardsley's shot. Whistle's gone for a free kick, but Peter Beardsley coming so close to scoring the first goal in the Cup against Steve Sutton. Nobody picked Beardsley up, but what a super volley. Keeper stranded and the crossbar to the rescue. Chapman now for Forest, Gaynor on the overlap. Goal is out, said the linesman. Road to Liverpool. And the police are on the pitch to tell the referee to stop the proceedings because there is danger here that the crowd is going to encroach upon the pitch because of overcrowding at the back of the goal, and the referee is taking the players off the field. So this FA Cup semi-final has been interrupted after 6 minutes because of crowd problems here. Capacity of Hillsborough, 54,101.
It may not look like it, but over that barrier there are many people being crushed because of overcapacity. This is one of the most disturbing things to ever be aired on live TV, and the cameras never stopped filming. In fact, I don't think they ever thought anything was wrong until everyone was cleared out of there and they found out what the actual toll was. This situation reminds me of that time that those people were at that EDM festival that was overpacked and they got trapped inside of the tunnels and a few people didn't make it out. This is why you should never overpack a stadium of any kind, even if you think you have it under control. You should always try to keep it at below capacity and definitely not go over capacity. Capacities aren't meant to be at the exact max that they set. The Late Breakfast Show was a show that aired in UK, and I can't believe it aired there. It's like they let civilians just come on there and do stunts that they shouldn't have been able to do. And it has had some of the craziest stuff aired, like one of the things being a guy bungee jumping and then not coming out of that alive. That was aired on live TV. And while that is pretty disturbing, I think there's actually a more disturbing time, even though no death occurs. They allowed a person who wasn't a professional stunt driver to drive a car way too fast, hit a jump, and the worst thing imaginable happens once they land. I can't even show you the car really driving because you're not supposed to show dangerous acts on YouTube, and speeding is just included in that. I'll chop it up and edit it so you guys can see the before and the aftermath. Just know that the car was going over 130 miles an hour when they hit this jump. The car would crash directly into the crowd that was watching, and thankfully no one would die, but there would be multiple severe injuries. It's even more wild that as soon as this happened, they just cut back to the host and he was acting like, oh, everything's all good, and I guess that was kind of the character that he always played. And it's kind of insane that this show was even allowed to go as long as it did.
Well, a reassuring assurance, or was it? John Hill, nobody was hurt. I wish we would keep you posted. The hit squad do dafter things than that in some respect. And now let's go to Santa Pod and find out how the next live challenge is going to go and whether it remains on the strip or goes into the crowd.
He even makes a joke about the fact that there's going to be another car doing the same thing, and they want to see whether it goes into the crowd or not. And this one caused way more injury to this driver than even the last one caused to any of the people involved. And then it just cuts back to him like everything is normal.
Well, obviously we'll keep you posted as to exactly what happened with that attempt. It certainly looked remarkably frightening. From the pictures I can see, they're sorting him out. We'll keep you posted as to what happens. A reminder on next week's programme, I'll be telling you about the Great Paris Air Race. We have an absolutely magnificent aeronautical account.
And these are, in my opinion, some of the darkest moments to have ever aired on live TV. And if you were able to catch any of these live, I'm sure that they disturbed you or shocked you in some way. Hey, if you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much. My voice was totally messed up this entire video. I'm just coming off of being sick, so my nose is all messed up, but if you made it to this part, you're the real MVP, for real. Put down in the comments if you got to this part, because I want to see.